At a time when a lot of us are grappling to understand what is going on around us, I think I'm not alone in agonizing over a question as to whether all this was always latent and has finally burst forth, not being able to be contained any longer, or has there been in the last decade a complete change in our country? Apart from the fact that we are moving from a 3 billion ton to a 5 billion ton, whatever the hell that means. I'm not a social scientist, so I do not know the answer. But I think Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's book, The Discovery of India, can shed some light on this. And so, with your permission, I would like to read you some selections from this book. And maybe it will show you the direction. Panditji's incisive knowledge and his mellifluous prose might give you an idea. Because I have also in these times wondered what it is and felt the need to re-examine and to rediscover what it is that is unique about this country. What it is that creates such unconditional love for it. What is it that was always our pride and which has been the envy and has won the admiration of the entire world? And I think Pandit Nehru's writing gives something of an answer to those questions. The diversity of India is tremendous. It is obvious. It lies on the surface and anybody can see it. It concerns itself with physical appearances as well as with certain mental habits and traits. There is little in common to outward seeming between the Pathan of the northwest and the Tamil of the south, of the far south. Their racial stocks are not the same, though there may be some common strands running through them. They differ in face and figure, food and clothing, and of course, language. In the northwestern frontier province, there is the breadth of Central Asia, and many accustomed there, as in Kashmir, reminds one of the countries on the other side of the Himalayas. Pathan popular dances are singularly like Russian Cossack dancing. Yet with all these differences, there is no mistaking the impress of India on the Pathan, as obvious as it is on the Tamil. The Pathan and the Tamil are two extreme examples. The others lie somewhere in between. All of them have their distinctive features. All of them have still more the distinguishing mark of India. It is fascinating to find how the Bengalis, the Marathas, the Gujaratis, the Tamils, the Andhras, the Oriyas, the Assamese, the Kannadigas, the Malayalis, the Sindhis, the Punjabis, the Pathans, the Kashmiris, the Rajputs, and the great central bloc comprising the Hindustani-speaking people have retained their particular characteristics for hundreds of years, have still, more or less, the same virtues and failings of which old tradition or record tells us, and yet have been throughout these ages distinctively Indian, with the same national heritage and the same set of moral and mental qualities. There was something living and dynamic about this heritage which showed itself in ways of living and a philosophical attitude to life and its problems. Ancient India, like ancient China, was a world in itself, a culture and a civilization which gave shape to all things. Foreign influences poured in and often influenced that culture and were absorbed. Disruptive tendencies gave rise immediately to an attempt to find a synthesis. Some kind of a dream of unity has occupied the mind of India since the dawn of civilization. And this unity was not conceived as something imposed from outside, a standardization of externals or even of beliefs. It was something deeper, and within its fold, the widest tolerance of belief and custom was practiced, and every variety acknowledged and even encouraged. We find in India, as elsewhere, two streams of thought and action: the acceptance of life and the abstention from it, developing side by side, with the emphasis on the one or the other varying in different periods. Yet the basic background of that culture was not one of otherworldliness or world worthlessness. Even when, in philosophical language, it discussed the world as maya, or what is popularly believed to be illusion. The very conception was not an absolute one, but relative to what was thought of as an ultimate reality, and it took the world as it is and tried to live its life and enjoy its manifold beauty. Probably Semitic culture, as exemplified by many religions that emerged from it, was far more otherworldly. In India, we find during every period when her civilization bloomed an intense joy in life and nature, a pleasure in the act of living. The development of art and music and literature and song and dancing and painting and the theater, and even a highly sophisticated inquiry into sex relations. It is inconceivable that a culture or view of life based on otherworldliness or world worthlessness could have produced all these manifestations of vigorous and varied life. Indeed, it should be obvious that any culture that was basically otherworldly could not have carried on for thousands of years. Max Muller, the famous scholar and Orientalist and India lover, said in an address to the University of Cambridge in 1882, "If we were to look over the whole world to find out the country most richly endowed with all the wealth, power, and beauty that nature can bestow, in some parts a very paradise on earth, I should point to India. If I were asked under what sky the human mind has most fully developed some of its choicest gifts, has most deeply pondered over the greatest problems of life and found solutions to some of them, I should point to India. And if I were to ask myself from what literature we here in Europe may draw the corrective which is most wanted in order to make our inner life more perfect, more comprehensive, more universal, in fact, more truly human a life, again I should point to India." Nearly half a century later, Romain Rolland wrote in the same strain, "If there is one place on the face of the earth where all the dreams of living men have found a home from the very earliest days when man began the dream of existence, it is India."